Sadiq, where have you been? Is it because you was touching 190 and didn't want to show your fat face on camera? Of course not. What I've been doing is making sure that each Wednesday around 6 p.m. our scientific mathematical algorithm has been properly calibrated so each suffix is tuned into cable TV. That way, we're guaranteed to make money. And if that didn't make any sense to you, you might just be broke, but don't worry. You're in the right place. Let's go get you some money, brokey. First fight. Charles Energy Johnson versus Rafael Esteban, the Tipton Hotel's finest. Now, as much as I love the sweet life of Zach and Cody, Charles Energy's Johnson's super mullet is just way too cool for me to ever go against. This picture doesn't do it justice. Do your own research. Next fight. Trey Samurai Ghost Ogden versus Nicholas Mota. I already know what you're thinking. Why does Trey look so surprised? Well, I'm going to let you in some behind the scenes information. You see, Nicholas Mota is a grown-ass man. Now, I know he looks 12 in this picture, but trust me, I'm an expert sports bettor. This is a grown-ass man. So what you should be asking yourself is if you were scheduled and contracted to beat up a teenager, then a grown-ass man shows up, how would that fight go? Exactly. Next fight. Lucy Pooty Lover versus our girl Eileen Perez. I got one word for you. Trigonometry. Next fight. Jekka Saraji versus Lucas the Lion Alexander. Very interesting matchup. When I heard these two was being put against each other, I just had to. Mick Parkin versus Xiao Machado. Now, according to this picture, Mick Parkin is a ginger, meaning he has no soul. And Machado, he's gray, meaning he also has no soul. Two very similar phenomenons, but they happen for two different reasons. You see, being a ginger means you was born with no soul. But being gray, that means you got your soul stolen. So you was too weak to defend yourself in the first place. I'm going with Mick Parkin. Next fight. Another soulless individual. Cesar Almeida versus our guy Charles Johnson is trying to double dip. Much respect. Now, normally, if I see a flyweight trying to fight at flyweight and middleweight on the same night, we'll automatically bet against them. But since you're fighting a guy with no soul, is this really a fight in the first place? We're going with Charles Johnson again. Next fight. Michael Chiesa versus Mighty Mouse. Now, don't let Charles Johnson hype you flyweights up. Weight classes exist for a reason. I'm going with Michael Chiesa. Next fight. Jonathan JSP Pierce versus Dan Ige's #1 up. What did Dan Ige do to this guy? I don't know. I don't even want to find out. But there is one thing I do know. JSP is not Dan Ige. He's not even GSP. Which leaves us with a lot of questions. Are dinosaur fossils real? Can Kirby beat Goku? You see, there's just way too many variables, which is why we're advising to leave this bet alone. Next fight. Jonathan Parson versus Uras Medic. On a card where we have Charles Johnson fighting twice with a super mullet, do you think having a regular mullet is going to cut it? I don't think so, Johnny. We're going with Medic. Next fight. Luana Pinheiro versus Amanda Ribas. Women's strawweight #9 versus 11. 9-11 is nothing to joke about. Next fight. Another third soulless individual for the night. Peyton Talbert versus, say it with me, we don't care. Why? Because Talbot is not a regular soulless individual. He's what we expert sports bettors like to call a hollow. And not just a regular hollow, an Arankar. Why? Because he looks close enough to a Shinigami. So you're telling me an Arankar is making his UFC debut and you're not willing to sell grandma's kidney and load the boat? Do you just like being poor? I'm going with Talbot. Next fight. One of our GOATs, Jordan Turkmenlevitz versus Chase Hooper. So last week, Turkman announced that Chase Hooper is too young, so he might not twerk on him. Well, listen here, Jordan. You think you're going to stay on our GOAT list and not shake that ass? Are you out of your goddamn mind? We're going to be watching this fight very closely, and once it's over, if we don't see cheeks clapping, you don't even want to know what's going to happen. Next fight. Undefeated Ecuadorian fighter Michael Morales versus Jake Matthews. Now, this one is very easy. I got 3 words for you. Neurochemical atrophy. You see what I'm getting at? Next fight. And here we are at our main event. Brandon Allen versus Paul Craig. Very interesting. You want to know something funny? Itachi killed his whole clan for the sake of the village. That's some very coonish behavior, and we don't give him enough slack for it. The only person he left alive was his little brother. Nobody else made the list? Mom had to die? What about Paul Uchiha from 3 Doors Down, who makes a great lemonade and has a 2-year-old son? Neither one of them was cool enough? Itachi sucks. And that's it. UFC Fight Night. Allen versus Craig, Saturday, November 8th at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. Good luck with your picks.